Caitlin Clark has risen to the moment all season long. It's Alexis Morris who has done that for LSU throughout this tournament, including in the come-from-behind win in the semifinals against Virginia Tech. Monica Sonano and Angel Reese will jump it up. And the national championship game is underway.
And much like Iowa did against South Carolina, starting off in a triangle in two.
And right away, they force a turnover. Here is Clark, eyeing the defense, dumps it in. Sonano, quick turn, and the finish.
If Monica Sonano gets deep post position like that, one-on-one against the defender, she's going to score every time.
And one of the things she talked to us about yesterday was teams outside of the Big Ten are not as used to her no-dribble moves. This is a player that you pointed out, Rebecca, has dribbled a total of once the entire tournament. Johnson in the corner, knocks down the three. That is a welcome sign for LSU. Flau'jae Johnson was just 2 for 16 from 3 in the tournament before that make. Into the corner. Sonano will turn. Can't finish it. Johnson the rebound. And a steal from Martin. Caton Martin lays it in.
And you had talked about Flau'jae Johnson and her shooting from the perimeter. She is one of the players for LSU that Iowa will dare to shoot the basketball. Huge boost of confidence for her to hit the first one.
Has turned it over twice. The freshman of the year in the SEC. And a foul called against Warnock. Let's take a look at how they got here. Brought to you by Intuit QuickBooks. Kim Mulkey's team in the fourth quarter trailed by 9. They outscored Virginia Tech 29-13 in the semifinals. Angel Reese, Alexis Morris had 10 points apiece. Kim Mulkey told them before that fourth, as Sonano comes up with a steal, she said, act like there's only 2 minutes left. Didn't want them to think there was 10. Clark, oh my! Welcome to the national championship game.
The national championship. The moment doesn't get bigger. And this woman continues to meet the moment.
There are stars and there are solar systems. Caitlin Clark is the latter. Everything revolves around Caitlin Clark. Her points this tournament, second most all time. The 3 she's made, now the most with that last make. And she also has the most assists all time in a single tournament. This last one was from 30 plus.
I mean, Kim Mulkey was frustrated because she didn't have any defenders out on Caitlin Clark. How often do you have to defend a player there?
Check out tonight's Player Spotlight brought to you by the U.S. Army. You see the average distance is almost 26 feet for Caitlin Clark's threes. That's nearly 4 feet larger than the three-point line. Looked like a near travel. Here's Johnson in the corner again. That one won't go. Loose ball picked up by Iowa. Here is Clark.
Now you see where Morris is determined to pick her up.
Oh, nice job by Angel Reese diving in to knock it away.
Last possession, Iowa had switched up to a zone defense. They will continue to switch their defenses all game long.
Oh, Reese able to dip it in beautifully. Angel Reese, the first team All-American, averaging over 22 points and 16 rebounds in this tournament. Here's Clark on the cut, the bounce. Sonano waits and finishes.
The contrast in styles of post play is intriguing to me. Sonano, no dribbles, just finishes. Angel Reese creates off the bounce.
Here's Williams trying to work Sonano. Sonano just takes it away. And a tie-up will give Iowa possession.
Monica Sonano playing strong inside. We saw her do this as well in the semifinal game.
Holly Rowe.
Today at shoot-around in the circle before they left, Lisa Bluter said to her team, if you want a national championship, you don't win it, you have to go out and take it. That's just what Monica Sonano did, listening to her coach from earlier today.
I thought it was such an interesting way to describe this moment by Lisa Bluder, who's done a wonderful job with this group. Angel Reese, gorgeous delivery inside, big to big, and the finish from LaDasia Williams.
And if you're Iowa, you're happy if you make Angel Reese a facilitator.
Clark, another deep one. No. Rebound, and Williams able to hold on to it for LSU. Angel Reese facilitating again. Flau'jae Johnson lays it in, plus the foul on Caitlin Clark. And that is an early personal on Clark.
LSU is so good when they can get out in transition and get early offense. And first you saw the beautiful big-to-big dime dropped by Angel Reese, and then here in transition, Caitlin Clark needs a little bit smaller feet so she doesn't get that foul.
Johnson hits the free throw, and LSU takes a 10-9 lead. Nice job settling down after the timeout from Kim Mulkey.
They stopped turning the ball over. That was a big problem for them in the first couple of minutes.
Here's Clark getting some space and knocks it down.
Hey, Ryan, Clark plus some space equals 3. I think that's in all of the Common Core math nowadays.
That's right. It's an equation that translates across dialects. Reese, the spin and the finish. Angel Reese has come to play. What a start for the first-team All-American. In her first year with LSU after transferring from Maryland, Clark has it poked, saves right back to her. Czinano, the deep catch. The lefty hook won't go. Had Marshall on the wing, probably should have gotten it to her.
Those are all the shots that she was making throughout the course of the season and tournament.
Tied at 12. Good action early. Johnson weaving, taking, denied, controlled by Clark. Here comes Clark, zipping up the floor. Clark really had it taken away. Looking for some space. And a whistle underneath is going to go against 2. It'll go against Iowa. And Monica Czinano now picks up an early foul.
Caitlin Clark, when she gets a little bit of space, whether it's off a screen or a curl, is going to be deadly. You have to stay attached, and Reese doesn't need space. She will create the contact, get into you, so you cannot block her shot.
So the whistle went against Czinano. Underneath the hoop on that attempt from Clark. Here is Poole. She got it. Kateri Poole is dangerous from 3. 43% on the season.
And Mulkey told us we are not going to be afraid to take the outside shot. They're going to give it to us. We're going to take it.
Clark has it knocked away. Here comes Reese. Pushing in transition. And a foul called on Stokey will put Reese at the line.
LSU averages 5 made threes per game on the season, but able to find the range so far today.
LSU a 15-12 lead on Iowa. First quarter action in the national championship game. A big stage calls for dignitaries. Dr. Jill Biden, the first lady in the building alongside the legend, Billie Jean King, the 12-time Grand Slam singles champion, who are sitting with student athletes for today's national championship game. Billie Jean was very excited to see Holly Rowe yesterday.
Certainly was.
Very excited. Meanwhile, Rebecca, LSU, after falling in a little hole early with some turnovers, they've done a really nice job over the last few possessions. They've created a couple themselves. And now Angel Reese at the line to try and extend the lead.
Yeah, huge key for LSU is to get more possessions than Iowa. Iowa led the nation not only in scoring, but in field goal percentage on this season. So LSU needs to get those extra possessions by taking care of the basketball. They didn't do that early. Or getting to the offensive glass at a high rate. But they're shooting so well, they haven't really needed to be there. 6 of 9 so far.
Reese goes 1 for 2. Czinano secures the rebound. Remember, Warnock, Czinano, and Clark all have an early personal for Iowa. No fouls called thus far on LSU. Sonano gets it back to Clark with space. She got it. Third three of the quarter for Caitlin Clark.
There's not much Alexis Morris can do about that. Defending her. There's not much she can do.
Clark nearly comes up with a steal. Morris knocks down the jumper. Alexis Morris over the last 2 games has averaged 24. Here's Clark pedaling through. Sonano trying to get it back to her. Clark again! She's almost fictional at this point. Williams can't bank it in. Reese on the offensive glass. And a whistle against Sonano will be her second.
Alexis Morris is working so hard trying to defend Caitlin Clark, where a lot of people have tried and failed. And here, working and working. And Clark, again, just needs a sliver of space.
Yeah, guys, and just looked at the LSU coaching staff, and they looked right at Alexis Morris and said, you're okay, she is going to score. Really important for Alexis Morris not to get discouraged, because you said it, Rebecca, extremely hard to guard Caitlin Clark.
Meanwhile, Iowa has to be extraordinarily frustrated. Monica Sonano has been called for 2 very tough fouls in this first quarter, and that is something LSU excels at. They get to the line more than nearly any team in the nation. Top 3 in free throw attempts. Reese has been terrific in this first quarter. 7 points for Angel Reese. Sonano to the bench. How does Iowa navigate it? Madison O'Grady in. She gave the Hawkeyes minutes against South Carolina when Sonano was in foul trouble, as Johnson comes up with a steal. Flau'jae Johnson had a huge steal in the fourth quarter against Virginia Tech. Here's Johnson, giving it up. Reese. Back to Johnson. Johnson gets ensnared by O'Grady. Clark one-on-one with Poole, gets fouled. And Caitlin Clark works her way to the line. Well, don't forget to check out the Verdon Tarasi Show, presented by AT&T, currently on ESPN2, featuring WNBA legends Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi. If you missed any of the show, you can watch it later on demand, available only on ESPN+. As Clark hits the first. We wondered about the fatigue of both of these teams after grueling semifinal games. LSU's comeback against Virginia Tech and Iowa's battle with the juggernaut that is South Carolina. But both teams insisted it's the national championship game. We'll be fine. Williams surrounded, putting it on the deck in trouble, has it taken away.
Iowa's done a nice job of trapping the baseline player out of that zone.
Here is Clark. She'll fire. No. Rebound Poole. Tied at 20. Reese goes cross court. Dumped down to Williams, working O'Grady. Williams, another whistle call against Iowa. Just feels like right now, if there's any contact on the interior, it is being blown.
The whistle or the call, Ryan?
I think that's a question that's being asked as Williams hits the first. Let's take a look at the last one.
There's no contact there whatsoever that is worthy of a whistle. And I felt the same way about the Monica Sonano second foul.
Right. What you have to remember is if the contact is marginal, then it is not something that is whistled for a foul by the book. Williams faces up, can't finish. And a foul that time against Reese. And that also looked like a touch foul.
Angel Reese is relentless. It's one of her best skills, is getting to the offensive glass. It's tough because you've got the arms down from Martin and then the pull down from Reese.
And there's a foul on Morris, who slapped at Clark. Third team foul on LSU. They are already in the bonus. Clark has been incredible in this first quarter. 14 points. She scored the last 11 for Iowa. Here is Clark giving it up. Warnock will fire. Can't hit. And Carson into the game for LSU. Grabs the rebound. Here's Carson. And that's going to be a foul on Warnock, and that'll be number 2 on McKenna Warnock. It will also send Carson to the line. So Hannah Stolke will come and grab McKenna Warnock. And a dangerous time for Iowa with both Sonano and Warnock on the bench with 2 fouls. Carson hits the first.
LSU second in the nation this year, getting to the free throw line. They are outstanding. Dribble penetrators, getting in the paint, getting offensive rebounds. Oftentimes, if you get an offensive board, you get to the free throw line off of that.
And they have hit their free throws in this first quarter as Clark has to try and save it. Martin able to grab it because of the deflection. Angel Reese lucky she didn't get her second foul there. You can see Clark was getting a little frustrated. Here's Clark sidestepping 3 off the mark. Stolke battling, winning for Iowa. Tried to keep it alive, and that's going to be number 2 on Angel Reese. So now Reese is hit with his second.
Oh my, oh my.
This has not been a banner start for this crew. And now a foul on Poole. And Iowa will not quite shoot yet. That is number 2 on Poole. So both of these teams that have normally 7 or 8 player rotations but have limited the minutes from their bench in this tournament are going to have to rely on it a little more than they probably would have cared to. Iowa now in the bonus, so Marshall to the line. And Marshall hits the first.
Marshall did an incredible job defensively in the semifinal game against South Carolina. She was the primary defender on Zia Cook, chased her all over the floor, exerted a ton of defensive energy.
And one of the things Caitlin Clark talked about was how admirable it was that Marshall did that while getting just 1 shot attempt the entire game. Reese on the bench now for LSU. So is Poole. How do they navigate this period? Carson will fire and hit from 3. Some big buckets from Jasmine Carson, who has been quiet in this tournament, but was a big factor throughout the season. Iowa can wind this down and essentially hold for 1. Clark around the hedge, working the mismatch. Stolke spins and a travel. Carson's 3 made it a 5-point game, and LSU is going to have to restart the possession. Clock did not start when they inbounded it.
Molly Davis is running to the scorer's table as well to spell Clark the all-important 5.5 extra seconds.
That's about all the rest that she gets. Both teams shooting it at least 50% in this first quarter. Both teams have turned it over, though. Iowa 6 turnovers and LSU 5. And both coaches have been working the officials. Here's Morris. She gets it off. And that'll do it for the first quarter. Caitlin Clark puts up 14, but it's LSU leads by 5. We'll chat with Kim Mulkey after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Well, Coach Mulkey, you used an early timeout after turnovers. How did your group settle in after that and really go on this big run?
They did fine. They did fine. I just didn't like the way we started with 3 turnovers, Holly, in the first couple minutes of play. Just take a deep breath. You got a freshman out there making those turnovers, but I didn't take her out. You let her work her way through it. She hit big 3.
Angel Reese, other people have some foul issues. How do you navigate this now in the second quarter?
I got 2 over there with fouls in the first quarter. We're going to play aggressive. Now, they either going to call it aggressive on both ends or let them play, and we can do either. But I thought Jasmine Carson came in and hit a big 3. I think we're battling hard, Holly.
Thank you, Coach.
You're welcome.
Let's take a look at tonight's Game Changers presented by Under Armour. Andrea Carter.
To go to Caitlin Clark for that first quarter. 14 points. No one else on the team with more than 4. And you see the deep range. But what was the most impressive was her ability to change direction. Monica Sonano giving her a great screen. Just a little bit of space is still too much for Caitlin Clark. And then working off of the handoff. The change of direction when she feels Alexis Morris shift to one side. She cuts right to the other. And that is so hard to defend. You heard Kim Mulkey talk about letting Flau'jae work through some turnovers. She's also letting Alexis Morris work her way through defending Caitlin Clark. It's been tough.
Let's take a look at our first quarter stats, Drea. Brought to you by UFOS. Caitlin Clark with those 14 points. Angel Reese, 7 points, 3 rebounds, but 2 fouls. Both teams have shot it well from the floor. Poole also with 2 fouls, and Iowa has Sonano and Warnock with 2 as we check in with Holly Rowe.
Lisa Bluter just told her team, I think we can all agree that wasn't our best quarter. Right? They all shook their head. She said, but we have to improve, and it starts right now. We've got to run offense. We've got to use ball fakes, and we've got to box out. Doesn't think her team's playing hard enough right now.
We'll see if they do here, Holly. Here is Morris facing up. Can't finish. O'Grady the rebound. Remaining out there, along with Stolke with Warnock and Sonano on the bench. Marshall knocks down the 3. Gabby Marshall has shot it 53% from 3 over her last 15 games. It's a big one to start the second quarter. Johnson, great look inside, and Williams on the finish.
Really nice job by Johnson to attack the zone, make the big help over, leads to an easy layup.
O'Grady looking for Clark, needs some help, finds Clark now. Clark guarded tightly by Morris, can't bank it in. Good D there from LSU. Here's Morris, finds the cutter. Smith travel, and LSU gives it right back.
Caitlin Clark in transition will always have her head up, and Marshall has a quick trigger, able to get that one off, and then dribble penetration against the zone, finds your big and easy 2. Ryan, I want to go back to Andrea's draw of all of those plays with Caitlin Clark. I think all of them included Monica Sonano. She is so important as a screener, as a handoff passer. Right now, not on the floor.
Clark spins, dishes, Martin, and the rainbow is good. Iowa now 6 of 10 from 3. The players not named Caitlin Clark were just 2 of 6 against South Carolina. A 3 from Marshall, a 3 from Martin. Here's Williams. Putting it on the deck, can't finish it. Smith, the offensive rebound. Put back won't go, out of bounds, and it last hit Iowa. LSU another chance.
Caitlin Clark is surrounded by women who can shoot, and Kate Martin is one of them. And there, a good contest by Flau'jae Johnson. She's just able to get it up pretty quickly.
See Alexis Morris directing her team as Johnson just misses the corner 3, and O'Grady the rebound. Here is Martin finding Stolke, running and finishing.
Martin's eyes were looking at Caitlin Clark on the left side of the floor. That helped her be able to deliver it inside as the defenders were looking away.
Stuelke may be a freshman, but she runs the floor incredibly well. Williams spins in and finishes over Clark, who had to be careful already with one foul.
Asia Williams is very capable when she catches the ball, both facing the basket and with her back to it. Good decision there.
Clark, what a feed! And the finish from Martin. A gorgeous lead pass from Caitlin Clark. Here is Smith. Clark backs off. Smith finishes. Smart awareness by LSU on these mismatches in the post. Stuelke makes the catch, can't wrap it in. Nice job defensively by the Dallas native Smith. Here's Morris into the corner. Carson again. Jasmine Carson delivering huge minutes off the bench for the Tigers.
We are being treated to elite shot making in this game right now. Both teams over 50%.
And a foul here is going to go against Morris. That will be her second.
Kate Martin looking at Caitlin Clark, but instead delivers to Stuelke as she's running the floor, and then on a beautiful dive as Martin gets the backdoor cut, and here Carson again. Elite shot making we've had so far in this game, Ryan.
Morris just picks up her second, so she, very frustrated, heads to the bench. Last tier Poa into the game for LSU. Clark trying to flag it down. She does. Still plenty of time to operate. That's going to be a foul on Poa. And it'll stay right here with Iowa.
That was on Poa?
Foul called on Poa. I think she blocked before Clark extended. You see Clark has scored or assisted on 64% of Iowa's points in the NCAA tournament. We know she did it on every point of the fourth quarter in the win against South Carolina. Clark, they're going to get Clark for a foul there. And that is her second.
That's the right call. Well, Ryan, that's the right call as she comes off dribbling with her right hand. Andrea Carter demonstrated this in our pregame show. You see her with the left, grabbing, getting around. That is a foul. That is the right call.
So 2 on Clark, who will stay on the floor. Unlike everybody else who has 2, who has headed to the bench. Johnson over to Poa. She will fire and hit from 3. How about this shooting from LSU? Largest lead of the game. It's 7. Clark looking for an answer. Short. O'Grady is fouled. An 8-0 LSU run. That's the first on Williams.
Shot making is contagious, and Poa steps right into it with confidence and drains it. Wow, this is an LSU team absolutely on fire. Has already equaled their makes per game average on the season from 3.
5 for 8 in this first half. Clark gets denied, but fouled. Poa fouls Clark, shooting 3. And now Clark will head to the line, number 2 on Poa. Hey, don't forget the 27th annual WNBA draft is upon us. The Indiana Fever have the first pick this year, followed by the Minnesota Lynx. The WNBA draft, Monday, April 10th at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Aaliyah Boston declaring.
Yes, expected to be the first pick of the draft.
Yes.
As Clark misses the first free throw.
She's having to do a lot. She is having to do a lot, and you wonder if fatigue will play any part for Caitlin Clark down the stretch of this one.
The last 3-point attempt was front rim. That first free throw was front rim. Warnock and Sonato on the bench with 2 fouls. For LSU, they now have 4 players with 2 fouls. Poa, Reese, Morris, and Poole. Poa stays on the floor, as does Clark, who has 2 as well. Looks like Alexis Morris is ready to go back in. She has been a total gamer for the Tigers. Carson, wow. How about this first half? Jasmine Carson trying to be a hero for LSU today. Timeout, Iowa. A 7-point lead for the Tigers midway through this second.
Jasmine Carson, the entire bench for LSU has come to play. No fear.
Well, LSU a 7-point second quarter lead. Let's take a look at our thrilling drives from tonight's game, brought to you by Nissan.
The thing that has surprised me so far in this game has been the elite shot making by LSU. This is a team, as I've mentioned, averages 5 made threes per game. They've got multiple players making them, stepping in with confidence, completely altering what you're going to have to do on the defensive end against them.
Take a look at their season average, what they've done thus far today. So if you're Iowa, do you react to that? Do you continue to invite them?
I think they're somewhere in the middle. I don't think you can completely leave them as wide open as you have been, but also for a player like Caitlin Clark, you can only be so aggressive defensively because of the foul trouble that you're in. Sonano as well.
Sonano back in. Marshall's fouled by Carson. That will be the first on Carson, who's been terrific off the bench. Iowa in the bonus, so free throws coming with still 5:23 to come in this second quarter. Most points scored in a single NCAA tournament all time. Caitlin Clark has tied Cheryl Swoops' record from 1993, that incredible Texas Tech run. Cheryl was on our colleague LaTrina Robinson's podcast, the Around the Rim podcast. And she said that she mentioned to the LSU coaching staff, hey, we know you can't stop Caitlin Clark. You just got to keep her under 47 in this game. The championship game record is Swoops' 47 in 93.
And worth noting that Cheryl Swoops got all of those points in just 5 games, because that was back in the day when only 48 teams made the tournament and some teams got a bye in the first round.
Sonano in with those 2 fouls, as Rebecca mentioned. Here's Poa, the runner is short, followed up by Johnson. Another chance for Carson. She dumps it down, and Williams lays it in. Big second chance points there for LSU. Clark looking for some space, finding Marshall. Marshall around the Sonano screen. Stolke putting it on the deck, and she traveled. The freshman having a little trouble there.
LSU already with 11 assists on the day. They've done a good job. We've mentioned it against the zone. Dribble penetration, touches in the paint. Make the zone shift, and then finding open teammates.
Stolke will check out, and now Warnock in with those 2 fouls as well. So Clark, Sonano, Warnock all in with 2 fouls.
You asked about the defense, Ryan. Iowa in a man-to-man, a little bit closer.
Wow, how about this first half? Jasmine Carson again. She's 3 for 3 from 3. Clark through the lane, got bumped, no call, rebound Johnson. LSU has a 10-point lead here. Carson, you bet! Jasmine Carson electrifying the LSU fans as Marshall lays it in. What a first half from Carson, and LSU 7 of 10 from 3. Is Carson going to go Caitlin Clark now with a heat check?
She was certainly begging for the basketball the second she got over midcourt.
Poa bounces. Williams can't finish it. Rebound knocked around, and it's going to be a tie-up in Iowa basketball.
I am so impressed by the players from both of these teams and their ability to step in, meet the moment, hit big shots. Jasmine Carson is one of them. This one was deep. How did Kim Mulkey feel about it? Well, Jasmine Carson was pretty happy.
So was the LSU bench. Drea?
Well, Ryan, they're excited for Jasmine Carson because she was 4 of 25 from 3 in March.
Wow, a foul just called against either Clark or Sonano. It is Caitlin Clark, and it is her 3rd. And is Clark going to come out of this game? And Caitlin Clark, I think, is frustrated with the physicality of LSU here. Might need another look at the extension. Poa getting up into Clark. So 2 offensive fouls called on Clark in this first half. And 3 personals on Clark now. How does Iowa navigate without her? Smith rims out. Sonano the rebound.
I think right now, without Clark on the floor, the best case scenario for Iowa is you tread water.
And a foul here against LSU on Smith. Hey, coming up at halftime, the Degree Halftime Report. Becky Hammond on set, headed to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to the Aces coach. And the officiating in the opening quarter certainly is going to be a story. You always hope that it's not on a stage like this, but impossible for it not to be with the fouls that have piled up for both teams. As Warnock misses the free throw, so Clark on the bench with 3 fouls. Reese has been on the bench the entire second quarter with 2. Sonano and Warnock sat much of this first half with 2. Alexis Morris on the bench with 2 for LSU.
We talked on our pregame show about how important it was for the Stars to stay out of foul trouble, and that box has not been checked.
Here's Johnson. You know, Drea was talking about the struggles of Jasmine Carson, her shooting struggles. In this tournament, she had been 4 for 19 total. Poa knocks down the 3. An absurd display from deep from the LSU bench. They are a plus 22 in bench points. Kate Martin kicks. Sonano's face up. Rolls off. Offensive rebound. Warnock gets fouled. And McKenna Warnock is going to the line.
4 different players for LSU have made a 3. And Poa lands on her tush, but she's going to celebrate no matter what, going the other way. Angel Reese quieting the crowd even from the sidelines.
This has been an incredibly unexpected shooting performance from LSU, but Kim Mulkey told us yesterday, she said, South Carolina did not shoot it. We will. If they're going to give us space like that, we're going to take it.
And the fearless nature with which they've taken it and had success doing it is what is the surprise.
They had 3 made threes in their semifinal win. They've made 8 in this first half. A 12-point LSU lead. Williams and a travel.
But smart. Go at Sonano. See if you can pick up a 3rd on her as well.
But how about if you're LSU, Angel Reese and Alexis Morris, who are your 2 stars, have been on the bench the entire second quarter, and your lead has only grown. Incredible. Sonano trying to find space. Dumps it out to Davis. Davis to the corner. Still time to operate here for Iowa. Sonano turns and finishes. That is a beautiful finish from Monica Sonano. Over 2,400 points in her Iowa career. The Iowa faithful trying to spur on this team. Down 10 with Caitlin Clark on the bench with 3 fouls. Carson again. Jasmine Carson has not missed.
And for LSU, it hasn't mattered what defense Iowa has been in, Ryan. Whether it's the triangle, a zone, it's been man-to-man lately. They have been able to find their advantage and go to it time and again.
They are shooting 57.5% from the floor. Carson has 18 points. Sonano barrels in, can't finish. Out of bounds, it will be LSU basketball.
Ryan, can we commemorate the moment? Monica Sonano just dribbled. The 2nd time in the NCAA tournament, she's put the ball on the floor.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
That's right, my friend.
12-point LSU lead. Johnson into the paint, can't finish it. Warnock the rebound. And Iowa down 12. 14-second difference game in shot clock. Sonano bounces in traffic. Here comes Johnson off the steal. Flau'jae Johnson serves it in. And Iowa could hold for a final shot. Ten first-half turnovers from the Hawkeyes. Davis hands it off. Martin traveled. And LSU still with some time here. The 56 points for LSU, the most ever in a championship game in a single half.
This is a treat. This has been 20 minutes of a treat of a basketball game to watch.
Here's Poa. Poa hands it off. Carson banks it in. My goodness, it's wizardry. Iowa has to be going to the locker room wondering if it's just LSU's day.
Coming off the screen, just flings it up there in time. The three goes down. Wow, what a 20 minutes of shooting by the LSU Tigers.
Carson with 21 points, 5 for 5 from three. She's with Holly Rowe.
You are red hot right now. How is that energy in the shot making lifting your team in this big moment?
I mean, it's big for my team, you know. Most of the starters, they got foul trouble, so, you know, I've been working for this my whole life, and, you know, it just feels great to finally display it on this stage.
You're a grad transfer. You have experience. You're a veteran from West Virginia. Tell me how you are making the most of this opportunity with your other starters on the bench. You're shining.
I mean, it's preparation, you know, before the game, shooting, scout, film. You know, it's just all preparation, and, you know, have a good coaching staff, great teammates, and, you know, all of us are flourishing, and it's showing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ollie.
An incredible first half from Jasmine Carson. 21 points, 7 of 7 from the floor after the break. Ellen Company will be back for the Degree halftime report. That's coming up after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Welcome back to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. Hey again, everybody. Ryan Rucco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo, Andrea Carter here as well. What a first half from LSU. Let's take a look at the great clips, great play right now, Andrea.
Well, and it's been what LSU has hung their hat on all season long with their defense and their rebounding. Iowa shooting the ball really well in that first half, but they've taken 10 fewer field goal attempts because of the LSU defense. LSU turned it up a notch. They had 11 points off of turnovers in that second quarter out of their 17 points off turnovers in that first half.
Drea, what fascinates me is what they haven't hung their hat on all season long, and that's the three-point shot, and hitting a lot of them at a high clip. LSU outstanding from the three-point line in the first half, 9 of 12. Look at all those green rainbows. Beautiful display of shooting.
Jasmine Carson responsible for 5 attempts and 5 makes from three. Meanwhile, the foul story is still going to exist here in the second half for Caitlin Clark. She begins it with 3 fouls. LSU the most points in any half in Final Four history. Fouls, the story up and down for both teams. Sonano and Warnock with 2. Angel Reese, Alexis Morris, Kateri Poole, as well as Samaya Smith and last year Poa all with 2. But LSU was able to navigate their foul trouble.
Certainly, with both of their superstars on the bench, and I'm interested to see with Angel Reese. Granted, there weren't a whole lot of missed shots in the first half in order to get offensive boards. I'm interested to see if she will be a little less relentless on the offensive glass, at least early, because of those fouls.
Look at what the bench has done for LSU. Do Caitlin Clark and Iowa have a comeback in them? Here's Poole, guarded by Marshall. Morris drags away on the attack. Catch and fire for Johnson. Back iron, no, and Johnson follows it up. Flau'jae Johnson has it knocked away. Sonano got her hands on it first and then control.
In a 1-3-1 on that possession.
Clark can't hit the three, little short. Warnock, the offensive rebound, had it stripped and out of bounds. It's going to stay with Iowa.
Iowa's going to have to rely a little bit on that on the defensive end, and that's just hoping that LSU misses.
Adasia Williams lost her sneaker.
That happens a lot in LSU games.
I think it's one of the Grinch Kobe's that Vanessa Bryan sent as well. You want to treat that shoe with care.
You certainly do.
Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Listening into Lisa Bluter of Iowa, she wants her team to get the ball inside. A lot of cross screens, set up Monica Sonano, and then when they get stops, push in transition. You saw it right there, and they got a good look for Clark. Even though she didn't hit it, they want to be a little bit more aggressive here in the second half.
Especially how tight the game's being officiated inside.
Sonano can't finish it. Nice job there from Williams. So a couple of looks that Iowa would sign for on that trip down. Clark from three, Sonano inside. Neither bear fruit. Reese pops it back to Poole after the trap. Some Ray Guy hang time on that pass. Here's Morris looking to take Marshall. Williams and Reese got jumbled up. Didn't matter. I think Williams and Johnson who were both there, and Williams hits the jumper.
And a great balance offensively for LSU. You shot the ball so well in the first half, but you don't want to just rely on that. That's not necessarily your identity. Good job by
Warnock. Misfires on the three.
Good job by Morris, feeling that, dribbling in.
It's one of the things Alexis Morris talked to us about, how every game presents something different for what her team needs from her, both offensively and defensively. She's been an elite decision maker for the Tigers all season long, and especially in this tournament. Here's Reese. Reese patiently backs in and gets the whistle. Who's it going to be on? It's on Sonano, and it is her third. The NBA Wednesday on ESPN starts in Milwaukee this week as the Bucks host the Bulls at 7:30 Eastern, and then at 10, catch the LA rivalry between the Lakers and Clippers. NBA Wednesday at 7:30 and 10 Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app. So a third foul on Sonano. Lisa Bluter is very upset about it.
Going to go to the monitor to take a look.
Ooh. They are going to take another look at this after the foul was called on Sonano. An official review here. They were taking a look at that last foul called on Monica Sonano, her third, to see whether or not the elbow from Angel Reese could be deemed intentional foul, which would then be added to the common foul of Sonano.
And you can't take away Sonano's foul. What I think they should have done is add the unobserved intentional for the elbow to Sonano's face.
Instead, the officials did not add anything, and that contact is not an offensive foul on Reese, which they could not have added. They could have added the intentional foul, but they did not. Instead, it is just the third foul on Monica Sonano. Nothing further. And obviously that is a tough reward for Sonano after taking the elbow. Reese was in foul trouble in the first half, as the majority of both rosters have been. Reese hits both. A 21-point LSU lead. Not only have they shot it well from the floor, they have shot it well from the free throw line, 10 of 11. That is not characteristic of them. Clark knocks down a three.
That time LSU switching out on the on-ball screen, which we hadn't seen in the first half, and it didn't matter. Screen by Sonano. Williams switches out, but then retreats too quickly. You cannot retreat until Morris gets there.
And Caitlin Clark, with that make, has set the record for most points in a single tournament in NCAA history. And she will a comeback for the Hawkeyes. Williams surrounded, goes up, can't finish. Reese underneath, lost it. Martin has it. And a tie-up will give Iowa possession.
Angel Reese does such a great job with her lower body to try to get offensive rebounding position, stays low and strong. Didn't come up with it there, but she was in the mix.
If you're Iowa, how do you crawl back into this game?
Well, you got to keep getting stops on that end of the floor, and they've done a fair job of that, but you have to score on all of your possessions, or a great percentage of them.
Sonano looking for some space, able to finish, plus the foul. Williams gets whistled for the personal. As Sonano has a chance at three, and it looks like Williams might have taken a shot to the face.
Yeah, with Sonano's left arm as she was getting hit on the right, came down and got Williams right in the chops.
It's gotten very physical on the interior as Williams and Sonano have both taken elbows now in this third. It's a 6-0 Iowa run. This would be the largest comeback in championship game history. The record was 15 points as Johnson travels.
And anytime you have a big deficit, you try to break the game up into smaller, more manageable pieces. And whether it's 2 stops in a row or 3 stops in a row, that's how Iowa has to look at this game.
Johnson checks out, and Jasmine Carson in for LSU. Why not? Carson off the bench at 21 points in that first half. Warnock, they need it. They have it. A 9-0 Iowa run. Nearly turned over. Williams lost it momentarily. Goes back to work. Can't finish it. Sonano has it. A chance for Iowa to creep closer. Clark, a bomb. Off the mark. And maybe a bit too ambitious. Although nothing has been for Clark in this tournament. Clark playing with 3 fouls. So is Sonano. Williams off the mark. Reese underneath is fouled by Warnock. And that will be number 3 on McKenna Warnock.
And that last three-pointer for Iowa, this is what happens when you gamble on the defensive end. Jasmine Carson goes for the steal. Angel Reese just has to step up to stop the ball. What happens? You kick to the three-point shooter, McKenna Warnock, and she knocks it down. LSU has to be careful with their gambling on defense.
Sonano off the rebound. Thank you, Drea. Here's Clark. Marshall alone. Connects! A 12-0 run for Iowa. Morris can't get it to go. But the foul from Reese, the best offensive rebounder in the country. Clark behind the back, separates and hits. Iowa has done a lot of work in a hurry. A 15-2 run in a 3-minute span. Here's Poole barging in, and a foul's called on Warnock, and that will be her 4th. And so now Warnock checks out, and that changes the dynamic for Iowa because Stolke is not the threat on the perimeter that Warnock is.
Exactly right. Warnock has good size inside defensively. But more importantly, Ryan, yes, she is a very good three-point shooter. Stolke does not have that part of her game.
Poole, short on the free throw. Warnock, a key member of an Iowa starting 5 that is making its 92nd start together tonight. Most in the last 20 years. Poole missed them both. Rebound, Sonano able to grab. Here comes Martin. Shedding Poole. Trying to squeeze it out and could not. Morris. Clark, remember, has 3. Had to avoid. Reese can't pop it in. And it'll stay here with LSU. Wow, at have things tightened in Dallas.
Three-point shooting teams are never out of a game, and Iowa has upped the ante from the three-point line here in the third quarter.
2 minutes into the third quarter, LSU led by 21, but Iowa on a 15-2 run. It's an 8-point game.
Iowa's been able to get stops on the defensive end of the floor and then been so efficient and effective on the offensive end. Looked at this deficit in little chunks and made the right decisions and have been able to come back and make this thing a ball game here in the third quarter.
And Caitlin Clark with that three hit her 6th of the championship game, which ties the record for most in a title game. Let's send things over to Holly Rowe.
LSU has been a roller coaster team all season. They've had lulls in games before, and Kim Mulkey just yelled at her team. This is the time that we start falling apart. But Angel Reese took over the huddle and said, no, we're good. Everybody calm down. I then popped my head into the Iowa huddle, and Lisa Bluter said, every stop we run, set screens for Caitlin, then set screens for each other. Both coaches with very firm game plans right now.
Great point, Holly, and it's something Andrea Carter has been saying all season long for LSU. They've been in situations where they get big leads, but do not put their opponents away.
Morris, big bucket off the inbound there for LSU. Just the second field goal for Alexis Morris, who averaged 24 over the last 2 games. 10-point LSU lead. Sonano working the post. Marshall thought about it. On the run, leaning. And a block from Poole. LSU controls. Here come the Tigers. If Iowa were to come back, it'd be the largest in title game history. Morris, nice pocket pass, and Williams on the finish.
Morris is so dangerous with the pull-up jumper. You have to help out on her, and she read it beautifully with that pass.
Clark playing with 3 fouls. Clark separates and knocks down another. A title game record 7-3 for Caitlin Clark. And the Clark family enjoying the show once again.
And it's not just the deep threes, Ryan. It's the contested threes that she's able to hit.
Morris in the mid-range. No. Sonano the rebound. Here comes Clark ahead to Marshall. Clark wants it. Airmail that attempt, and Reese comes down with the rebound. 25 for Caitlin Clark. Reese, the spin, the flip, the denial. Martin couldn't get to it, and a travel. A travel is called on Morris, Iowa basketball.
On mere mortals, you can contest and get this close, and it's really hard for them to make the shot. This is outstanding defense by Morris. Hand up right there, doesn't matter.
Now Iowa will go smaller here. Molly Davis comes in for Hannah Stuelke. You see the record for Clark. Sonano deep catch, turn, and the finish. Monica Sonano has made it a 7-point game. Kim Mulkey and LSU wanted an offensive foul. Sonano is also playing with 3. And a whistle. Are they going to take a look at this being an unobserved foul?
Yes. And I thought Sonano did lead with her elbow, but absolutely not with the same force, or not with more force, I should say, than we saw on the other end earlier in the quarter from Angel Reese.
And on that previous review,
we have a coach's appeal for LSU. They want us to review the previous play for any unintentional or disqualifying contact.
So certainly, if they had called that a common foul in the moment, I wouldn't disagree. But considering they chose not to call the unobserved foul on Angel Reese earlier in this quarter, I would anticipate that they will choose to not call it here. They should have called that an offensive foul in the moment, Ryan.
And it would have been number 4 on Sonano.
But you cannot go back and just call a comment.
And so the only option is for it to be an intentional or disqualifying foul. And given the precedent from the foul earlier on Reese that was reviewed and not called anything, here was the Reese one where they called the foul on Sonano.
Do you agree?
I agree with you that because the other was not called intentional,
yes,
or disqualifying, I don't know how you then would call the Sonano one something different. Now, they both, I think, should have been offensive fouls.
I completely agree with you there.
Yes. You have the right to appeal in that case. For those unfamiliar with the rules, maybe tuning in for the first time as our audience continues to grow for this tournament, the coach can appeal there. What they put up as collateral is a timeout. So if Kim Mulkey's wrong, it costs her a timeout here. Now, are the officials going to explain to the coaches before they announce? Kim Mulkey is getting an explanation, and it doesn't look like she's going to be happy about it.
After review, the play on the floor stands. LSU has been charged 1 timeout.
And that could be the most impactful thing that just happened. If this is a tight game late, LSU now has 1 less possession where they can call a timeout and advance the basketball.
They have 2 timeouts remaining.
Yes.
That's it in a game that has suddenly tightened. 7-point LSU lead. It was 21 earlier in the quarter. Williams face-up is good. How about the way LaDasia Williams has answered the bell offensively in this tournament?
Perfect compliment to Angel Reese, because when Reese gets the double attention inside on the low block, Williams so good from that free throw line area. Money jumper.
16 for Williams. Here is Martin. Getting it over to Marshall. Sonano wants it. Eyes up, finds Davis. Davis into the paint, surrounded, lays it in. Able to avoid Reese. That's a huge bucket for the diminutive Molly Davis. 71-64, LSU in front. You see the bench advantage. Morris gets a clean look. Can't hit. Reese on the offensive glass. So tough to stop on the interior.
Oftentimes before the shot has even gone up from her teammate, she is working to get positioning inside. It is remarkable.
One of the things that Iowa hopes is on those longer misses, you get longer rebounds, and it takes Reese out of the equation. It didn't there. Sonano finds Marshall, 5 to shoot. Clark will. No, rebound Martin, and it's knocked out of bounds off of Martin. LSU basketball. And Iowa wanted a foul on Johnson.
Both teams understanding the importance of possessions, crashing the glass, offensively, defensively.
It looked like the right call.
Yeah, absolutely did.
Iowa bench just got a warning following that. LSU a +9 on the glass. Dump inside, Reese, and a foul called. If it's Sonano, it is her 4th. And it is number 4 on Monica Sonano.
Great low post positioning by Angel Reese, getting low, putting her hand up. The weak side defender, Sonano, has to come over.
Was a technical called as well? I think it was. And that on Caitlin Clark, which is also a personal. A crippling possession for Iowa.
Oh, on that.
So not only will LSU get 4 free throw attempts in this possession, but now Iowa's 2 best players pick up their 4th personals on the same possession. A combination of language used by Caitlin Clark and the tossing of the ball is what prompted that call. I think you could think 2 things in that moment, Rebecca. One, you would hope there's a little more leniency given in a moment like that, given the stakes. 2, if you're Caitlin Clark, you probably have to be a little more careful.
You can think both of those things. I've been thinking a lot of things throughout the course of this game.
It has been tough to stomach at times for both fan bases. An 11-point LSU lead on Iowa with now Sonano and Clark along with Warnock on the bench with 4 fouls. Iowa really struggled at the end of the first half. Big steal here from Davis. An 11-point LSU lead, and then Davis gives it away. Here comes Reese, 2-on-1. Reese misses the layup, and a loose ball foul called on Morris as she went over Davis. That'll be number 3 on Alexis Morris. Davis backs it out. Marshall thought about it. Here comes Martin, considered the glue of this Iowa team. And a foul on Flau'jae Johnson. That'll be her first personal. And the 14th foul against LSU. If you're Iowa now, you can essentially hold for a final shot here. And I would think you want as few possessions as possible
without Caitlin Clark on the floor.
Clark, that's right.
I think that is strong math, Mr. Rucco.
See how Iowa plays it with a 2.8-second difference game and shot clock. Out to Stolke. Martin comes back to it. Caitlin Clark calls Kate Martin the greatest leader she has ever been around. Grew up a die-hard Iowa women's basketball fan. 6 to shoot. Martin on the drive. Can't lay it in. Williams the rebound. Surrounded. 2 seconds left. Poa gets it across. And Reese nearly banked it in. That's how the 3rd quarter will end. Once down 21. Iowa trails by 11. Going to be interesting to hear from Iowa head coach Lisa Bluder. 3 of her top players with 4 fouls. The Iowa coach chats with Holly next.
Coach Bluder, a tough possession. Both of your stars pick up a 4th foul on the same possession. What do you do now?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, obviously, 3 of our starters with 4 fouls is not a good thing. But we're going to go back with Caitlin. I mean, it's a national championship game. We got 10 minutes left. We're down 9. We got to go with Caitlin.
You were down 21. You started the comeback. What led to that can give you hope in the 4th?
It was getting some stops, finally. We finally got some stops.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Holly.
Let's take another look at that critical possession for Iowa where both Sonano and Clark ended up called for their 4th. This was right after Sonano was called for her 4th, and here's the tee on Caitlin Clark. I mean,
she said nothing.
You have got to be kidding me.
No player in this game should get a technical foul for that.
It is
certainly
a championship game.
Certainly not.
And it's so critical because it's a personal at this level.
Yes.
That's why it's so big. So Clark's 4th personal was that. Start of the 4th quarter, LSU an 11-point lead. Jasmine Carson, 21 points in the first half. That has been the biggest story for the Tigers. Angel Reese's offensive rebounding in that third quarter as well.
I'd attack her, yes. Go right at Caitlin Clark. Go right at her.
Martin nearly knocks it away. Johnson able to escape and hit the jumper. Huge bucket for the freshman, Flau'jae Johnson. The SEC Freshman of the Year also has a recording deal with Rock Nation. Here's O'Grady. Sonano starts the fourth on the bench with her 4 fouls. Clark pedals away. Dumps it in. O'Grady gets hit on the arm by Williams. Third foul on Williams, and free throws here for Addison O'Grady, who's just 6 for 12 on the season.
Addison O'Grady averages 5 minutes per game on the season so far, but she has been counted on in big moments in this tournament, in particular in the Final Four.
The 2023 Men's Frozen Four begins Thursday at 5 and 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, go to NCAA.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships. How about O'Grady? Calmly stepping into both free throws there.
When she first got the ball on that possession, she passed it out. She did not want to take the shot. Got a little more confident when she retouched the ball.
Deja Williams has been the one player who has been on the floor every minute for LSU. Kim Mulkey recruited her. She said, you need to stay on the floor after the injury she had dealt with earlier in her career at Missouri. She has. Williams short, rebound Clark, an opportunity here for Iowa. Here is Martin pushing pace. Martin gets some space and hits the three. Iowa down 21 with 8 minutes to go in the third. Had cut it to 7. No closer. Now it's back down to 8. Morris leaning jumper is good. Alexis Morris, so clutch.
So good in the mid-range. So good in the mid-range. And not overpowering with her size, but able to get in there and hit it.
Clark dishes. Warnock in with her 4 fouls. O'Grady bounces. Can't clip it in, but gets the whistle on Williams, and that will be her 4th.
Alexis Morris is bouncy, and especially off of the dribble. Just needs a little bit of a screen, barely any space, and can make that shot all day long.
Both teams shooting over 50% from the floor in this game. As O'Grady misses the first free throws, we check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, Alexis Morris said she stayed after their win and watched Iowa play, and she said, I sat in the stands and I visualized myself doing well against them. What would it take? And she's been out here defending her you-know-what off against Caitlin Clark, but shining in the moments they need her most.
Working hard, so hard, Holly, on both ends of the floor.
Angel Reese, meanwhile, has set an NCAA record, her 34th double-double, most in Division I history. Here's Morris going to work again in the mid-range. She got it. Lead is back to 12 for LSU. Costly missed free throws moments ago for O'Grady. Warnock can't hit the 3. Rebound batted around. Clark had to be careful. Here comes Morris, dashing, dishing. Williams finishing. Timeout, Iowa.
Alexis Morris has known tonight when to score. 10 points, has known when to deliver to a teammate. 9 assists. Kim Mulkey loving what she sees from her point guard.
Here in Dallas, Dr. Jill Biden with Billie Jean King. How about Dirk Nowitzki, member of the 2023 Hall of Fame class. So too is Pau Gasol catching the action as well. Emmitt Smith, a Dallas legend, of course. The NFL's all-time leading rusher, Candace Parker, the 2-time NCAA champion and the 2-time WNBA champion. Dallas Wings star Arike Ogunbowale, a hero at this time of year. Asia Wilson A two-time league MVP, reigning champ, and a champion with South Carolina, and Simone Augustus, LSU royalty. A two-time National Player of the Year, has to like what she's seen from her Tigers, leading by 14 with 7:11 to go in the fourth. They were able to weather that Iowa storm.
And without question, they are going to need to defend the three-point line for the rest of this game in particular.
Sonano can't finish it, got the whistle on Reese. And that will be number 3 on Angel Reese, who had to sit much of the first half with foul trouble.
Iowa loves to run that set, a box overload set, to get a direct entry pass into Monica Sonano.
Sonano has had her minutes limited in this game. Just 21 minutes thanks to her foul trouble. Sonano, Warnock, and Clark all playing with 4 for Iowa. LSU has LaDasia Williams with 4. Angel Reese and Alexis Morris each with 3 as Sonano hits both free throws.
LSU has been really good giving Morris a screen, letting her come off and work in her mid-range. And here, with setting the screen with the player who has 4, they got the switch. McKenna Warnock can only do so much defensively here.
Morris has 10 points, 9 assists. Carson had 21 points in the first half. Reese wants it. Using the jab step, Reese nuzzles in and finishes. Angel Reese with 15 points, 10 rebounds, a 14-point lead for LSU. And Clark's 3 won't count. An offensive foul on Sonano, and she has fouled out. An illegal screen called as Sonano fouls out. And that will be the end of the incredible career for Monica Sonano. Came in with unreal expectations, having to replace Megan Gustafson, the legend in the post for the Hawkeyes. And Sonano was able to meet the moment over and over again in her 5-year career.
It's a young woman. It's been so fun to watch her play the post position. Makes the difficult look easy and routine.
So Sonano fouls out. And now Iowa tries to survive without her. Morris has other plans. Lead is back to 16. What a dime from Clark, and Warnock able to finish. Clark with 25 points, 7 assists. Marshall nearly came up with a steal. Here's Reese backing it out.
Smart decision. Use clock.
Here's Morris on the attack, has it poked from behind out of bounds, and 6 to shoot for LSU.
Alexis Morris here off the handoff. We've been talking about her all game. Her ability in the mid-range, great elevation on the shot.
LSU has 5 different players in double figures. And outside the paint, where they struggled so mightily at times in this tournament, they are shooting 65% today. Reese barrels in, knocked away by O'Grady, and 2.8 to shoot for the Tigers.
LSU has not made a three-point shot in the second half. The first half, they were unstoppable from outside, and here in the second, they've been able to go to other things. Morris on the mid-range, Angel Reese on the offensive boards.
And they've only taken 2 in the second half after they hit 9 of 12. Morris gets fouled by Davis, and Alexis Morris is going to go to the line to shoot 2.
Think about her impact, Ryan, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end as well. And when Sonano got called for that 5th foul, Morris was sitting on the floor looking at her teammates going, 5, that's 5 on her. She knows how hard she has worked on both ends. Ooh.
Tweaked that ankle there as Morris goes to the line. Alexis Morris played for Kim Mulkey at Baylor. Her freshman year was kicked off the team. Then had stops at Rutgers, where she thought she may never end up playing basketball again. Texas A&M. And then came back to to Kim Mulkey, this time at LSU. And Mulkey has been what Morris needed, and Morris has been what Mulkey needed. Remember, this is just the second year for Kim Mulkey since taking over a 9-win program. Clark trying to get it to O'Grady, knocked out of bounds by Reese, who is so active defensively. And Clark has not made a field goal since 3:51 to go in the third. Clark separates and knocks down a three.
She heard you, Ron.
28 for Caitlin Clark, her 8th three of the championship game. LSU has been able to still get buckets on this end. Morris running more clock. Working with Reese. Reese leans in, can't finish. Nice job by O'Grady. Here comes Clark. Clark trying to lead Warnock, unable to save it. And Iowa misses a golden opportunity there.
Caitlin Clark trying to shoot the team back into it on the previous possession. Comes off the screen and steps into the deep one. Probably unnecessary. That ball just needed a little more bite to it off the pass, so McKenna Warnock could get there.
Instead of a layup to cut it to 11, it's a turnover, and LSU with the basketball, leading by 13. Morris working behind Reese. The mid-range is open again for Morris. Clark will fire, can't hit. Rebound Carson. LSU firmly in control. Morris able to shake Marshall. Carson wide open. No. Rebound knocked out of bounds. Morris unable to save it. It hit out of bounds. And it's going to be Iowa basketball.
Too early. Too early. The clock is still your friend, LSU. Use it.
Caitlin Clark has been on this unbelievable run. Does Iowa have one more left in her? As Clark lays it in, her first 2-point field goal of the game. Caitlin Clark, another 30-point performance.
All you have to do if you're LSU is wind clock and then get an on-ball screen for Morris to work in the mid-range.
Clark has averaged more than 30 per game during this tournament. Reese facing up. Little hook shot won't go. Knocked around. Williams has it. Williams able to finish. LSU overwhelming Iowa on the interior. Martin gets a clean look. Can't hit. Warnock trying to go up with it. Reese the initial denial, but then the follow is good for McKenna Warnock. 93-80, LSU in front. And that is going to be a 10-second violation. A 10-second violation on LSU. And they turn it over to Iowa.
Kim Mulkey giving Alexis Morris an earful. Yes, use clock, but once you get it over the timeline.
Use 9 seconds over here.
And then the rest of it.
And 20 over here. Kim Mulkey is trying to get a sub in. Kateri Poole. Poole will come and get Carson. Remember, Carson started for much of this season, and then Poole recently inserted into the starting lineup. And now Kim Mulkey is going to take a timeout. LSU will have just one remaining. Carson scored 21 points in the first half. Williams has 20 for the game. 16 for Alexis Morris, 9 assists. Angel Reese with 15 points, 10 rebounds. It's been an amazing turnaround for Kim Mulkey and LSU. They were 9-13 the season before Kim Mulkey got there. 26-6 last year. Went to the second round. This year, 33-2, and they are less than 3 minutes away from a championship, Holly Rowe.
Well, Kim Mulkey is one of the most fascinating people in all of sports, but she's also one of the most successful. At everything she's ever done in her life, she's won. She was the class valedictorian in Hammond, Louisiana. She won a national championship as a player at Louisiana Tech. Went on to win gold as a gold medalist on USA basketball in the Olympics, and then went back to LSU or to LA Tech with Leon Barmore, where she also won a national championship as an assistant. You know what she did at Baylor, and here, coming back home, she wanted to be home in LSU to support that state, and look what she's done. They have set attendance records at the Pete Merritt Assembly Center all season long. She has reinvigorated this basketball program in the state that loves it so much, and Kim Mulkey, everything she touches turns to gold, including every outfit she wears.
Perfect punctuation, Holly Rowe. 93-80, LSU in front of Iowa. 2:57 to go in this fourth. The Hawkeyes have one last punch left in them. They cut it to 8 earlier in the quarter, 7 at one point in the third. Clark guarded tightly by Morris. Clark has had to navigate with 4 fouls. Sonano is fouled out. O'Grady with Martin hitting the deck. Clark trying to find some space, leans short. Rebound goes off of Poole, and it's going to stay here with Iowa.
Because of the foul trouble, the one area of Caitlin Clark's game that has been limited is her dribble penetration. Oftentimes we see her coming off the screen or curling off the screen, putting the ball on the floor and going in aggressively. She hasn't been able to do that with the fouls.
Clark calling for it. Has it. Morris up in her space. Clark through the lane. Nice delivery, and O'Grady lays it in. 11-point game. How does Iowa pressure defensively here, knowing Warnock and Clark both have 4, and you have just a little more than 2 minutes to go.
Most important thing for Iowa on this possession will be to box out and not allow a fresh shot clock on an offensive rebound.
Morris into the paint, leaning and hitting. Alexis Morris trying to take LSU to the finish line. Clark turns it over. Not a good decision there from Caitlin Clark. 16 second-half points for Alexis Morris. And a foul there from Warnock. That is her 5th.
No answer for Alexis Morris. And whether it's her pull-up or the floater there, we've seen her drop dimes, and everybody at the BMAC enjoying what they're seeing from Alexis Morris and the LSU Tigers.
Warnock to the bench, a key cog at Iowa's starting 5. She has 1 year of eligibility left. Most points scored in a national championship game. That record is very much in peril, as Marshall applies the foul on Morris. LSU has struggled shooting free throws this season. They're 14 of 19 today, 70% on the season. That's 225th in Division I. Morris with 3 chasing her. Floats it to Poole. Poole evades the foul. Davis trying to apply it. Cannot. Angel Reese with 4 to shoot. Poole going for the dagger. You bet! Kim Mulkey knows the celebration is imminent. Most points in a championship game. A group of 9 new players less than a minute away from LSU's first ever championship. And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming. The Maryland transfer has thrived at LSU. And basically everybody who has touched the floor today for the Tigers has made a big contribution.
Coming into this game, you would think, all right, LSU to win the championship against Iowa would have to rely on their defense. And their defense was solid, but wow, what an offensive performance.
Kim Mulkey on the brink of her 4th national championship. And they know how to party in Louisiana.
I have a feeling they're going to know how to party here in Texas as well.
Meanwhile, for Iowa, Rebecca, a moment to wrap this run. Caitlin Clark has gone through this tournament in a way we have not seen since Cheryl Swoops in 1993. She has gripped the attention of the entire nation, and she is just a junior who is not WNBA draft eligible. So you will get at least one more year of Caitlin Clark as a Hawkeye.
Has certainly become the sport's biggest star.
Martin lets it fly and knocks down the 3. Kate Martin, her career at Iowa will end as well. Both of these teams in a national championship game for the very first time in program history. Iowa not fouling. Williams will back it out. Morris will let it fly. Why not? It's been that kind of night for the LSU Tigers. That 3 rims out. LSU has it. Morris has to get it across. Kim Mulkey, in year 2, has orchestrated a turnaround for the ages. LSU has captured its very first national championship. Caitlin Clark gathers her group after their valiant run to the championship game. Angel Reese celebrates with the freshman Flau'jae Johnson. And you could hear Kim Mulkey saying to Caitlin Clark, you're a generational player. All class from Kim Mulkey. What a year for Lisa Bruder. Coming up with the shocking upset of South Carolina in the semis. But it's Kim Mulkey and LSU who prevail this afternoon. 102-85 the final, and Kim Mulkey is with Holly Rowe.
She wants her granddaughter and grandson with her. And, Coach, they say you can always go home again, and you did. And now you're bringing a trophy with you. How does this feel to bring a trophy home to Louisiana?
I think my tears are tears of joy. I'm so happy for everybody back home in Louisiana.
Coach, this is one of the most improbable championships you could even write a script for. You had one player on the roster coming back. How did you assemble this group of women together, and how did they come together to be so strong in this moment?
Well, I have personalities, and I think a lot of these personalities coaches want to be scared of. I'm not afraid of that. I played with personalities in college. I played with a personality myself. They just are ballers. And golly, Holly, I'm just stunned. I'm blessed. I'm appreciative. It's Palm Sunday. Wow.
Go enjoy this with your team, Coach.
Thank you.
Kim Mulkey, in just her second year after taking over this 9-win program, leads LSU to its first championship, and now she stands alone third when it comes to most titles for any head coach in the history of women's college basketball. Angel Reese talked about needing Kim Mulkey. The way she brought out the best in her. And Angel Reese, after the game, finishing the way she started this season. LSU has been a confident group throughout. And Angel Reese is with Holly Rowe.
Angel, you were in foul trouble to start this game. How did this group come together in the locker room at halftime and really come together in the biggest moment to win this national championship?
It's no one-man show around here. When I go down, the next man is up. Every single time. Every time I go out or Alexis goes out, everybody always comes and steps up. Samaya came in as a freshman. Everybody from the big Jasmine Carson. Are you telling me 21 points in the first half? That's what we needed from her, and I'm super excited and happy for this team.
I've watched you all season long. Your leadership, you hold your teammates accountable. Sometimes it's hard conversations. How have you led this group to a national championship?
Hey, my teammates take constructive criticism. I get on them, they get on me, and it's all positive, and we know we're just trying to get each other better. So this team is just amazing. We've built each other up from the summertime, and I'm so happy.
Kim said you have so many different personalities, and it took a lot of different ones to get here. When you're celebrating and you guys realize that this is within your grasp, what did you say as you came together?
Breathe and believe. That's all we did all year. Just take a deep breath and just keep believing in each other. Nobody thought we were going to be here. Nobody, as long as we believed in each other. I don't even know what to say right now. I'm just so happy.
All that mattered is you believed you could be here, Angel.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Holly.
Thank you.
Angel Reese, a champion for LSU. The Tigers able to end the incredible run from Caitlin Clark in Iowa. 102-85.